Ok, siamo pronti? Avete preso il caffè? Avete stanchino le gambe? Okay, you ready? So, we have seen two of the five canons of rhetoric. We have seen inventio and disposition. That is the idea and the structure. Let's go on and see the other three that complete the framework of Cicero. The third is allocutio. That is the style. The process of determining how the topics will be presented and which rhetoric techniques will be used. So it's not yet the delivery, it's the thinking about the delivery style. Again, with the movie comparison, this is the kind of movie you're making. Is it a Western? Is it the genre? Okay? Is it science fiction? It's a thriller, because with the same plot, you can have different shooting technique, different photography, and different presentation to convey a different genre of movie. Same with the speech. For example, the same topic in a business environment requires a different style. So this is decided based on the speaker and what style fits in him. Because you have your identity. You maybe work well in a kind of style and less well in another, on the context and on the goal of the speech. And there is not a style that is better than another. For example, these people behind me are all great public speakers. Yes, all of them, in a way or another. And they have very different styles. You know all of them? Yes? You also know Ken Robinson? Yes. Good. For example, to me, he's one of the best TED speakers. He has an incredible style, made of British humor and ironic remarks. Okay. Or you can have Tony Robbins. Have you ever heard one of his speeches? He's a beast. He's one of the most powerful speakers I have heard. Of course, this style works for him and for the context where he speaks. So, what's your style based on the context where you will be delivering? And how can you change your style? How many styles? Okay, when you grow in public speaking, you will develop more styles. Now you have more or less one, maybe one and a half, and two, because you haven't trained different styles. It's like again actors. The same actors can be in a Western, or in a war movie, or in a romantic movie, and act differently. That's the style. Okay? So this canon is very short here because we will expand during delivery. Because in this phase, you decide the style you want to keep. For example, professional. You can describe it with some adjective that you want to be perceived as during the delivery. Any question about style? Is it clear? What is it? The important part is that it has to be decided. It's not just what it happens. That's me. It will be me presenting. No, it's you on a role. Which kind of role are you? For example, being myself, speak in different contexts. At university is one, business is one other. In one of my different parts of the life, I am also a game designer. I speak at game designer events. I don't have the same style, of course, when I speak about game design than I have when I speak about business things, of course. Even if they are all me, it's different persona speaking. Some advice on style. There is not, I said there is not one right one, but there are some that are more easily played than others. Like in acting, it's easier, some styles are easier to learn than others. And more easily effective, okay? This doesn't mean that you have to be that way. This just means that the other way is more difficult to achieve. So, every day is better than polished. Means that if you can use both styles, use everyday speech is better than polished and complex. Because people understand better. Smiley is better than serious. You can have a very effective serious style, but if you're not sure and you can choose which one, Smiley is better. Yes?
Actually, this is a question for Professor Amadesi. Would you say this is the same advice you give in a customer meeting?
Yes, absolutely yes. Because smiling doesn't mean not professional.
Yes, definitely. Smiling doesn't mean not professional.
And at the end, even a CEO or a president or the owner of a company is a person. And he always and everybody prefer to have in front of him or her a person smiling
Yes.
than a serious one. And many times people think that if you're smiling, you're not so professional. But smart people know that it's not the same. And everybody prefers to have empathic people in front of them.
Smiling can be smiling in a professional context.
Yeah.
Think about Obama. Listen to some of his speeches. He's full of jokes, full of them. Does he look not professional? Trump, on the contrary, does a lot of less jokes. Who do you think is more professional and credible? Okay? Got it? That's it. Modest is better than pretentious. We have already done that. And narrated is better than explained. We have more easiness with stories than with academic explanations. Again, you can be polished, serious, pretentious, and explaining and be effective. Okay? It's not an absolute rule. It's just more difficult to achieve the same result compared to someone that is everyday smiling, modest, and narrates. And you can be as professional in one way than the other.
Can I add something?
Of course.
Consulting, the speech in consulting is part of a very big project or a very long-term work with people. So it's not just a speak at TEDx. It's 8 minutes, 30 minutes speech in front of 1,000 people, and that's it. And you have to behave like that. The people that will listen to you in a speech as a consultant, the day after will be working with you or with your team in, you have to also, in implementing the conclusion of the suggestion you gave with your speech. So no one is happy to work with people that is arrogant, that is
boasting and
so smiling and creating a good professional relation is very important because it's a long-term relation with the day-by-day activity together, the consultant and the customer. So being able to create this relation is important. So the speech is a point in a long process.
yes.
So you have also, and this is the contest, the contest of a speech in a consultant is just that it's an event in a long-term process. So you need to consider that.
That's exactly what I meant. When I meant context, in this case, context is the collaboration with your client, where the speech is only one part. That's exactly what I meant with context. So taking into consideration all the other parts when building the speech is fundamental to know which are the main goal of that speech. In that case, one of the goals of the speech in a consulting event is creating a trust bond. It's more important that than persuading of the conclusion itself. If your speech you are able to be credible and create trust. Maybe he doesn't agree on your conclusion, but you will work with it because you appear professional and trustable. Okay? Trustworthy.
And in consultancy,
I've gone into your field, but I think you agree 100%. I knew without asking you that you were.
And you are also a consultant, so you know
Yes,
that
of course, but I'm not here teaching consultancy, so I risked that because I knew you were.
And there is another tricky point, that sometimes you need to do your speech in collaboration with some people of the customer organization. Many times you are, as a consultant, a back office of people that need to have the, the palcoscenico,
Stage.
the stage. So, you are the back office. So many times the speech is joined and shared with some people of the customer. So you have to manage this speech, giving the right result to the customer, because the people that will have the speech with you will have an important role, more important than your role as a consultant inside the organization. So he has to be the actor on the stage, and you just have to support his speech in front of the CEO, the president, or whatever. So it's really tricky. It depends on the context.
I have been coaching TEDx Youth. You know about TEDx Youth? It's a TEDx event that was held in Bologna for 2 years, last 2 years, where students of high school can present their speeches, and they are selected, and 11 of them one go to the final. The most difficult part has been creating speaking styles, because students, and you're a bit older and also in a different context, so your work is probably a bit like that. But students usually have one style when speaking. That is the style of the one that has been interrogated and has proved that he knows the subject. It is one of the most funny style, because basically you're just wanting to show that you know, that you prove that you've studied and you have a good mark. Okay, that's the style that they usually have, and that was mimicking the teacher style. That usually is not a good style for speaking. So I had to work a lot on that, a lot. For example, that kind of style makes no jokes altogether. You don't make jokes during an interrogation, while you have to make some. Again, if you think, well, maybe not in some context, think about Obama. Okay? You can make jokes while speaking about the country economy, and they are completely effective. Fourth kind of memory, the practice, the process of learning and memorization of the speech in order to be able to deliver it effectively. Memory is something that your body needs, not your mind. Memory is something that must create a complete memorization of the process of the speech, not just the content. When you practice your speech, in order to achieve that result, you should be able to recreate the most of the conditions that will happen during the speech itself. For example, speak in front of someone. If you don't have anyone, then a mirror. Speak loud. So, will you be standing or sitting during your speech? Standing, then speak standing. Will you be walking or just standing? Walking, then you'll be walking. Then you practice walking. Repeat exactly the same conditions, even the volume of the voice. Because memorization is not something that happens just in the mind, or actually it happens in the brain. That is not just the mind, but it's the physical part of the brain. So the more you're able to recreate the same context, the more your body will start memorizing. You know that body has a memory. You know very well. You have some kind of movement that you do automatically. So you have to learn those movements together with your tone of voice, your walking, your pacing. Everything is memorization. Too often I see memorization confused with the memorization of contents. That's not the kind of memorization you need. You need to train. It's a training to train your body to be there. Speaking of that, because the more you train the delivery and the less you have to think about it while delivering. Okay? So basically, again, two parts of the brain. One part, it's called unconscious competence and conscious competence. If you are just conscious competent on your speech, you need a lot of brain power. Think about a computer RAM, okay? You have to dedicate a lot of brain power into remembering, into walking the right way. If you have practiced it over and over and over and over, your body starts doing it automatically. And also, part of that memorization will build your speaking persona as well. It will be useful in other speeches. You have to train your body, not your mind. Okay? Your breath, your balance. We will see those in the delivery. But the practice canon tells you that you have to repeat the more conditions. For example, in my house, I have part of my open space that is elevated. I always speak there. Because a lot of time I'm on stage, and so I create a different level of the aim. That's helped me. And I put the slides in my big screen behind. The more you can recreate the same context, the more you will be able to use less RAM while there. Okay? Other thing, when you repeat, don't stop. Go over. Don't start again. If you stumble in some point, you go on. Because when you will be delivering, you can say, "Oh, I'm repeating this. This wasn't good. Let's start again." Okay? Okay. Pretend there are people. Interact with people. Speak with the empty air and wait for the air to think about your answer. Okay? Which part you should memorize and how? Introduction and conclusion mostly. If you go through your speech a number of times, repeat 3 times as much introduction and conclusion. Those are the pillars of your bridge, okay? And those you should have rooted in your mind. Okay. The rest of the speech you should know more or less. But in the rest of the speech you can take the detours. It's like highway. You know where you have to go and where you are, but you can go out, do something, and then go back. Or answer to some question and then go back. Introduction and conclusion are not interactive. In any way. If you make a question, you don't want actually people to answer. You just leave the silent behind. Those are more scripted than the body. Because they are more important. And you shouldn't improvise anything. Or you should just improvise the way you are presenting. But actually, if you say something in the presentation, if you make an opening, or that should be completely memorized. Okay? But not memorized in like a poetry. Okay? Memorized in your action. Is it clear? Okay. The canon of memory include other 2 points. So one is remembering the speech. One other is having your audience remember the idea. This is memory as well. So you can apply some techniques during your speech to enhance memorization in your audience. And it's basically one very cheap technique is telling them. For example, the thing I'm about to say now is probably the most important of this morning. So I'm asking you to give me the peak of your attention. This is not true, but you are doing it. Okay? That's it. So the next thing is probably the thing you should, the most important thing you should remember. Okay? Just tell it. People do what you tell. But remember to tell. So telling someone that he has to memorize will help him memorizing. You know, this is called priming. It's a cognitive bias. If you say someone, and by the way, this is the most delicious recipe plate we prepare in this region, they will appreciate them more because you told them. So if you want people to remember, tell them. Tell them this is important. Tell them to give your attention. Tell people what they have to do. Don't expect them to do. It will help. It will help a lot. And finally, part of the memory canon is remembering. So they're all about remembering. The third is remembering good changes and good ideas you had during the speech. It will happen a lot. It will happen to you a lot, especially if you do it for a work. And so you will have many speeches. Sometimes it will happen that there is some good idea or a joke or a good way of presenting that you didn't think about before. How many times you happen to think, write down that one. Don't let it pass. The best idea, around 1/3 of my speeches happen during the speeches. And after those, I took notes that this is good. Comedians do that. Most of the jokes the comedians have in their repertoire, they happen to invent during, because this is a time of great work in your brain. You're in full brain, in beta waves in your brain, and there are some intuitions that can become good way of presenting, good jokes again, good question to the people. Remember those as well for your next, and ask, is this good? Can I use it somewhere else? I have a lot of my, for example, jokes that I pass from one speech to the other. I really got into jokes. I mentioned jokes several times, but there is a reason. Okay, question about memory. Do you remember memory? Fifth canon. So, we told at the beginning that a good speaker has two main skills: building, presentations, and delivering. And we've seen that 4 of 5 canons are about building. This tells you how much time you should be spending building compared to presenting. Most is done there. Most of the problems of a poor speech is the lack of building, structure, clarity of idea, clarity of structure, clarity of style I want to keep, and memorization. The delivery, you can have the best speaker perform poorly if they have to follow a bad plot and a bad screenplay. Think about the movie. How many great actors were acting in shitty movies without ideas, plot, style, and okay. So it doesn't matter how good you are in delivering if you haven't prepared a good screenplay, speech play. But eventually comes the time when you have to deliver. This was a really difficult to me to compress in just 1 hour. That's more or less what we have left. Yes. Yes. So, because there are so many things happening during the delivery phase, so many things. So I decided to divide it into just points, okay, topics. So I will prompt a topic, I will say a bunch of things about that, you will make me some question about that, then we change to the next topic that maybe has no relevance to the one before, because there were too many things there that there was not a way to synthesize all of them in 1 hour.
Can I give just a suggestion
Yes.
to the students? Remember that as a consultant, because it's not our mission, you will have a different kind of presentation. You will be in front of the CEO in a final presentation of your job. You will be in your everyday work with the people of the customer, working in team, trying to share presentation or planning or brainstorming together that has to be put inside a presentation or a speech. You will be in a roadshow of an IPO presenting the company you are taking to the IPO. You will be in front of a bank presenting the industrial plan of your customer, asking instead of the customer for money to sustain the development and growth plan of the company. So you will have different moment of presentation and different moment in which you will be speaking, taking a speech to different, in different contexts to different people. So try to understand all what Christian will tell you, putting it in different parts of the life of a consultant. Okay?
Yes, absolutely. So again, and over again, repeating, these are just frames, structure. We have to learn them to know when we can skip one or bend one other, to build our weapons, our ethos, logos, and pathos techniques. And it can be a public speak actually can be from as small as speaking with one person, but not discussing, just presenting a public speech. Because a speech is when no one else is replying. That's a speech. Okay. So it can be also to one person or in front of some thousand people. Okay. Everything in between is a speech. When you have the lead just on you, and you have to guide someone through a concept, this is a public speaking event. An interview is a public speaking event with one person. The delivery is the process of presentation of speech through the appropriate voice, gestures, and body language. So let's start from the first topic, that is the fear of speaking. This is one of the most interesting. So many people are afraid of public speaking. Is there someone here who's afraid? Usually, those are also those afraid of raising the hand. You know, this joke, of course, now I can accept it, has been made over and over and over again. Does it make it less effective? No, because you don't know. You have to know. It just came to his mind. Of course not. Okay? But
when I started teaching at university, it was 2000, I was really terrified.
yes.
My first time I was teaching in the evening time to very senior people, the ones that could not study when they were 20 or 25 like you, but they were working, and so the university at that time was keeping these, evening courses for the people who could not graduate when they were young. And so I had 40, 50 years old people from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it was my first course. I was really terrified. My first lessons, I had to train a lot before.
So, one of the reasons people are afraid is because they think that they will make it bad. And they will. Yes, they will. Most of people are really poor speakers. And they will. So what do I mean with suck at it? That it's not people would say how bad he was. Why not? Because he would have appeared to be on the average. But the measurement of a speech is the impact in memorization and changing of behavior. They will be really poor because they will achieve really poor result on those. But the point is, no one really knows. How many people do you think start public speaking actually?
Very few.
Very few. If you decide that you want to become good at it, you will be easily in the 1 in 100. Easily. With some month of study. Because no one does it. So it's so easy. It's like going to the gym think of a world where no one goes to the gym. Going to the gym is like a secret. How many you discover it? And you go for 6 months. What's the result? Okay? That's the same thing. The same thing is so easy. Else, you just go through like improvising, everyone does. So, fear of public speaking comes from the certainty that you won't be able to do something. But there are a couple of considerations about fear. First, it's a very good advisor. So what you are afraid of, boring people, or blocking yourself, or losing your the thought, probably the thing you're fearing is the thing you should work more on. If you fear of being boring, it's probably because you know this is the okay. It's like a red alert. If you have a fear, probably it's the thing you should have more exercise on. Oh, I would be scared of, I don't know, going through rafting in a river on the mountains. Of course, I have no training in that. I would be scared of that. But if I train properly, I'm not afraid because I know what's expecting me, and I'm prepared. So fear is usually just not enough preparation, and most of the fear is managed by that. The part that remains is the kind of fear that is actually helpful. There are two kinds of fears. Actually, it's not two kinds, but it's a tuning. Okay. Basically, what happens is when you're afraid of something, your body is excited. Okay. It's like there is a tuning. The thing. Okay. So your heart starts beating, your breath starts accelerating, and over a certain range, there is the trigger of a system called FFF. You ever heard of it? Yes. Fight, flight, or freeze. If you are too much afraid, there is the system that your body has to prevent you from dying. That is basically attacking your opponent and fleeing away or pretending you're dead. Actually, we don't do that anymore. We don't like just lay on the ground and say, okay, you're not dead. Bob, come on. We know you're not dead. Or you cannot run on the highway like, okay. But we behave in the very same way as animals. All animals at the end. All animals. Basically, if you scare an animal, either it will attack you back, run away, or pretend it's dead. The animal world doesn't know a fourth way. And usually depends on the animal. So don't scare a lion. Because probably you will recognize you are he's strong and he will attack you back. So the FFF is triggered anytime the fear range is over 9,000 or whatever. And basically we start having the body consequence of the FFF. That is broken breathing, accelerate heart, and then depending on the kind of reaction we have, being it fight or flight or freeze, we have blood flowing to different parts. Usually, for public speaking, is the reaction is going away, is fleeing, because you cannot fight in public speaking. Okay, but just a quick trivia to explain you how animal we are in that. And now that is just a survival mechanism that you shouldn't be able to control, especially if you know what it is. You know why when you trigger the fight reaction, there are people, you know them. Then every time there is something that doesn't work, they get angry and irritated. Do you know someone like that? Mm-hmm. The first reaction is getting angry. Yes. When it happens to you, because everyone does it sometimes. Someone does it every time, but when do you feel hot in your body? It's one place. Come on. Where do you see the hotness rising in your body? Face. Especially not face, but this part here. You know why?
No.
You're ready to change idea of how evolved you are? The reptilian brain, that is the one in charge of the FFF, is not more a brain that are extension of the nervous system. When you are angry, the fight reaction is for doing what? Fight. You know how primates deal with their enemy? They mainly bite their enemy. So there is a part of your brain that is, okay, bite on, blood to the jaw and tend the neck. Have you seen someone angry that the neck tense? You know why? Try biting someone with a neck not strong. You risk hurting yourself. So, that's it. You didn't know? That's it. Your body still behaves like you're a primate in the jungle. Because that part didn't evolve quite quickly enough. It's a very old brain. So every time you're afraid, and you're being afraid is transformed in an anxious state because you want to flee, or an angry state, think about, this is some million-year-old brain taking control of me. This will help you. Your more advanced brain say, okay, we are in control now, so no reason to be that afraid. Tune it down. And if you want a final way of doing it, of taking back control, because that is taking control. We don't have time to stay on this topic more, but it's so interesting how the different drives and functions of the brain, they fight one against the other to take control. One of the best ways is working. So basically, reptilian brain does things you cannot control. Can you slow down your heart? Can you have less adrenaline? Willingly? No. But there are things you can control. For example, raising your arm. Can the reptilian brain raise your arm? No. So it does something that you cannot control. You can do something that you can control. The only thing in common is breathing. Breathing. The reptilian brain will change your breathing, but that thing you can control. So take control back of breathing, and in a short time, you will take control over other functions as well, like heart rate and sweating. This is a real technique. How do you take control of breathing? By not letting breathing just go as the automatic system is dictating, but breathing evenly. There is a good acronym. Breathe. Okay? Breathe. Can you read? Breathe. Rhythmically. Breathe. Evenly and through the heart. What does it mean? First, rhythmically. One of the first things that the FFF does, being it for fight or flight, is having a very high variation of earth rate. Basically, your heart rate or your breath are completely uneven, are not evenly spaced. Okay, so take control by rhythmically breathe. Then evenly means smoothly, because even this is rhythmically. And this is not good. Okay, this is rhythmical. So rhythmical and smooth. And through the heart, with that the over means that you shouldn't breathe in your shoulder, on your nose, on your mouth. Actually, it is through the diaphragm, and through the diaphragm wasn't good for the acronym, so it's at heart, because it's this part here. Like, you ever study diaphragm breathe? It is studied in dancing, yoga, meditation, sing, sports, acting. Everywhere it is teach the same technique. This should tell us something. That is words. Means, you know what it is? Should I spend a couple of words? Basically, it's breathing by lowering the diaphragm instead of expanding the chest. If you do it well, your shoulder do not move at all. It's really not aesthetically, because it's just by moving your belly. This is diaphragm breathing. You can Google it and see a lot of techniques about it. But this is the best way of teaching your automatic system, hey guy, don't be afraid, and give me back control. Yes?
To me, it happens that when I think about how I should breathe, it's even worse because I feel like I don't know how to breathe, because it's
Yes.
something automatically, so I get even more stress.
Then practice. Then practice. Practicing is the secret of not being afraid. Practice breathing. How much time do you spend practicing breathing? That's the reason. Even if I think how to make a triple jump, I start being afraid. Of course, I never did one. So practicing is the way of teaching your brain about things. Okay? Practicing, study. Now I cannot we are going very quickly over things, but diaphragm breathing is the easiest way of controlling the FFF pressure, not fear, because some part of fear is good. Fear of public speaking means you have to try. You don't want to get rid of all fear. You want to get rid of the fear of fire? I don't think so. You will get burned eventually. You want to get rid of the fear of empty and void? No. Okay, some fear is good because it teaches you to behave accordingly. The fear that is bad is the one that alters your body, and then you can control by breathing. And there is some other technique if you want, but we have a lot of things I don't want to state that much on. One thing is overloading your computation and logical brain. So it keeps all the RAM for itself. It's like a computer. For example, count from 300 backwards, 7 at a time. 300, 297, 93, 286, okay? Do it, or if it's too easy, 7 and 5, okay? This will require you so many resources that you will have less time to be afraid, okay? Okay. Any question on this? Okay. So, other point about public speaking delivery, it's breathe. I've seen every kind of behavior, like people that start going into apnea while they do public speaking. Basically, they forget to breathe. Really, I've seen people like becoming purple and like doing something. Okay, yeah, it's normal. Just remember to breathe in that way during your speech. A lot of things you will see now are difficult because there are all attentions you should have while speaking. So how do I, this is a good premise, how do I follow my breathing, my body, my hands, my voice, my movement while I'm speaking? What do you guess? Just do it over and over and over. Do it once, practice once, just studying breathing. Just practice once more, just studying hands. Practice one more, just studying voice. Practice over and over, and eventually your body will become automatically programmed in that part. It's a really long process. And I'm not saying there is a shortcut. This is a way to become good speakers. You can choose how much you want to do, this compared on how much you need and how much you want to invest in this. But breathing is one of the things that a lot, sometimes, not most, but a lot of times, goes out of the way. People that forget to breathe or just starting breathing in a very wrong way, in a different way that they would have breath outside of the speech. You know what I mean? When you deliver, you start doing things that you would never ever think of doing in a normal way. It's just your not being able to deal with the situation. Once a guy, just as a stress way of dealing with stress, he started doing this. And he spoke for 20 minutes doing this. He didn't realize. Think about me, now speaking 20 minutes doing this. Yes, okay. Okay. This is so important. This is so important. What are those? No, they are not notes.
Pauses?
Pauses. Who said that? Yes. They are all poses. Poses and silence. One of the most frequent mistakes of someone who's speaking and not training speaking is speeding up. Why? Because if I am faster, then I can go, it's over faster, okay? And also, because when we were silent during interrogation, it wasn't a good sign. So we tend to fill fill everything with words, or even worse, with sounds like okay. A lot of people cannot deal with silence and with pauses. Pauses and silence are two different things. Pauses are the way I use the pauses between words inside the style. For example, we will see it when we'll speak about voice. But for example, in this time, I changed my voice and I'm using pauses in a very specific way. These are called conclusive pauses. All my words end very neat and in a very clear way. And this is the way you're speaking to convey something. Instead, there are times when the pauses have to be like thought through, like I'm doing now. You see a different way of using times and pauses. So the pauses have a different meaning in the speech itself. Silence is instead when the absence of sound has a meaning. So the pauses, they don't have a meaning by themselves. It's just a part of the style and voice that I'm using. The silence is something that is deliberately used as a meaning. For example, every time you have something important, you should have silence to have people reflect about that and understand that. Exactly. So, for example, after each question, or after your main point, the first time you state your main point, let people think. They are doing something, they are listening to you, but they are also thinking. The silence is the time you leave them to think. If you give them no time to think, you will lose them. Because it's not your mind, it's their mind. Any question about this? Anyway, slow down. Probably, I don't know you, but statistically, you are going too fast when you speak in public. I could bet on that. Smiling humor. Finally, we are here. This is something that I've been hinting during all the morning. Humor, jokes, smiles, but we are making a business presentation for consultancy. It doesn't matter. Actually, the more serious is the topic, the more the need for an appropriate joke. And a joke can be something as simple as an exaggeration that, of course, is not real, but just exaggerates some concept. If you want a good example of this, you can Google for the TED Talk of that doctor, a woman expert in heart diseases. And she speaks about her own heart attack. So she was experiencing herself from a medical point of view while having a stroke, recognizing everything, knowing that she was alone, it was her strong stroke, probably she would have died. And she was experiencing it as a very expert. And so part of her brain, and she tells that in a TED. This is a pretty serious talk. She made 2 or 3 jokes in the right spot. And people can do what? Breathe, laugh, and then concentrate again on something serious. So even more, if you have a serious topic, a couple of hits of satiric, sarcastic, cutting humor, choose the kind of humor you want. But you cannot be serious for 20 minutes. It's difficult for people to listen to you. One of my favorite that has a style with a perfect humor is Ken Robinson. If you Google him and watch his TED Talks, he speaks about how schools is killing creativity and how he's teaching kids outside of their best talents. It's a so important topic, and it's full of jokes, really full of those. But you don't get one. I mean, you don't get how many jokes is this guy doing. You just are completely drawn by the topic itself, because jokes sometimes are a way of proving your point, but it may be in an exaggerated way. Okay. And smile and humor are two different things. You can smile without having humor, or you can have humor without having smiles. They are both part of the same method, the two phases. Smile is independent from humor, and you should have it during the talk. For a very scientific reason, smiling helps the people in front of you producing oxytocin by the neurons activity. Because when you smile, the other people sometimes is smiling as well. And some people are more react more to this than others, but when they do, they produce oxytocin. That is called the trust hormone. So oxytocin, yeah, oxytocin. Yeah. Smiling is really a primal way of connecting with people. It's one of the first signals that your primal brain looks at in the other to understand he's friendly. Okay? I've seen so many people going through a presentation without a single smile. Come on, it's boring. Whichever the topic, whichever the interest I have in the topic, it's heavy. Questions? How much time do we have?
Half an hour.
Yeah, we are perfect. Shall I go on?
Yes.
Okay, this is a more kind of advanced technique, eye contact. So, if you don't, all these are things that if you haven't dealt with them, or if you don't deal with them, they will go automatically in a different direction. For example, eye contact. If you don't train eye contact, probably you will just stare the same person for all your speech. That is the one that is responding more. And you automatically will stay away from the people that are more distancing themselves. And this will distance them anymore, especially if you have clients in front of you. And you always look at someone, you are basically creating a wall between you and the other. There is an exercise that I can give you for this. We used to practice this with a puppet, like a monkey or something. And you do the speech, and the client pass themselves the puppet, and you have to speak to whoever at the puppet at that moment by maintaining your flow. So they pass, and you switch, and you have to do it every time the puppet is passed. It's really interesting because it forces you to go all over the place. I have looked at you in the eyes many times during this morning, each one of you. At least once. Now you're saying, when he's looking at me? But because when I look into your eyes, you feel I'm speaking to you. Okay? And this makes the paying attention easier.
The problem is if you look for the puppet and you lose
Yes.
the speech you're doing, because it's not easy.
Yes. This is the
Because you
point.
have to think.
So if you train that,
because
you will.
it has to become automatic.
Yes. All these techniques, all the techniques about delivery are all like this. You won't do it if you don't train it. Because automatically you will simplify the things you're doing. So look to someone that is giving attention to you, limit your movement to the minimum, because you have to be concentrated on what you are saying. The only way of doing this, doing over and over and over. And the good thing is, when you prove for a speech, then everything you're building will be used for the next speech as well. Because the body is the same, probably. So, okay, this is a big one. This is so big that in my outline, humor and these are independent columns, where I have to check that I have enough of both. We have seen humor, and this is engagement. How many times do you engage with your people? How many times you say something that you have to think about? How many questions you make? Or how much you are self-contained and everything you said is just self-referring. People will interact when they feel that you are addressing to them, making them directly think about or making connection to their specific field. For example, today, every time you spoke about how this becomes something you have to do in your work, that was a connection. This was a way of engaging you. So we alternating the theory and the practice that you will be facing. And these links serve to you as connection to stay paying attention. This is one of the main tools for keeping the attention. That is making questions, make reference to their own personal past or future experience. Because the more they see themselves in your examples, in your theory, the more they will stay with you. This with a client is so fundamental. You don't have to go astray and start on a theoretical lesson of whatever. You have to go back every time. And this for you, and this for you, and in the future, you have seen these, or a question, okay? Interact with them, engage with them. Any question? Yes.
What do you do when you maybe have prepared some questions or wait to interact with the public and then they don't interact with you? What is the best thing to do? Because it's difficult, because maybe you prepare
Yes.
a question, no one raises their hand.
So, it's true. You have done it the past hour. So, there are some techniques. It depends if you want questions or not. Today, I don't want that many questions during, because we have a very short time, so I prefer to keep all the questions for the end, and I use the technique. You know which one? I call, do you have any questions? This is the best way not to have questions, to interact. So I was interacting with you. I wanted you to feel interacted, but I didn't want you to make any questions, because we didn't have time. No. I am the speaker. I have to be able to deal with it. I'm opening my secrets here. The best way not to have questions is asking, do you have questions? Why? Because if I ask if you, then the no is a possibility. How do you improve the chances of having questions?
Questions.
Which is
Just saying questions.
yes, or even better. So, which is, according to you, the main problem in doing this? Which is, in your experience, what has been the last time you had to engage? So, when you ask if, usually is no. When you ask which one, or maybe even more, which of these two questions do you think, or okay, ask which of the choices?
Yeah, either they are not listening.
No, it's really difficult to start making a question. If you have, do you have a question? Really few people raise it. They feel engaged, but very few people raise it. Because they are prompt with a if or not which of these two. You want to know another field completely different when this approach is really effective. For example, to girls present here. Yes, now I've had your attention. Is more effective if a boy asks you, hey, may I offer something to drink? Or, hey, what do we drink? Which is more effective? The second. Why? Because it implies that you are already drinking something. Okay, you have to just choose what is much more effective. Because in the first case, you have to even no. So do you have question? No. Which question do you have? Which is the most relevant question you want to ask me about this? Okay? So frame it differently. There is, so basically we are compressing everything in one day. This is not about public speaking. This is a tool used in advanced communication. Never ask whether, but ask which of. Yes. Okay, do you do you have questions? It's so inception speaking about public speaking. I like it so much. Okay, now we have two big topics, and I kept them for last. Yeah. Speaking about voice and body language is in half an hour is like it's like, you know, what is the technique in videos? Time lapsing. It's time lapsing full workshops. One is about voice. Voice during public speaking is a big component of it. So, what general guidelines you would say it's important to remember about voice? Which one? How a voice should be. First thing, the most important. No, not that one. You see, this that I'm doing, okay, we have just seen it, is engaging, okay? And I had engaging here, because I knew that was half this block, and I had to engage at exactly midpoint in this hour, okay?
Loud
Yes. Say it loudly.
enough? Loud enough?
Yes. This is the biggest mistake about voice that people make. What they do, they use what kind of level of loudness? The normal one. The normal one. They have been speaking at that volume for all their life. Why they should change? Because they are speaking in an audience. That's why. So if we, after this, we start speaking there, you and me, do you think I will speak like that? No, it will be, hey guys, you're crazy, okay? This because there is a stage need. The stage has needs. If you study acting, one of the first things that they teach you is that everything on a stage has to be amplified. Why? Because people are far. Every gesture, every movement, every voice should be exaggerated. Of course, if you're speaking to 3 people around the table, it's not the same. But anyway, the volume should be a bit louder than one speaking one-to-one. A bit. That's so important. Every time I go in an event where there are more speakers, and I go to the sound guys, okay? Even if they are already prepared everything, I go to them and say, hey, we need to do the check of my voice for the volumes. And a lot of times they tell me, we already did that. We already checked the voice. No, you have to do it with me, because you have to lower the volume. I don't know, let's try. I go on, I speak in the microphone, and I lower, and then they can sign different volume of amplification. I have to lower mine every time. Why? Because the other people before me, they went on the stage, they spoke normally, and then the guys at the microphone raised the volume in order for everyone to hear. But it's not the same. When you raise your volume, the voice starts be different. It's not just, think about that. If I were whispering here, but with microphone, bringing the volume at the same level I'm using now, would it be the same? It would be terrible, like a person whispering loudly, okay? So it's not just about the level, it's just about the shape of a voice who is speaking loudly. And we are instinctively drawn to pay more attention when someone is speaking in a loud voice, okay? And this is so uncomfortable for the person speaking, if he hasn't trained it. You should feel you are a bit shouting if you are speaking in front of an audience like that. If it's a bit uncomfortable for you, then it's good. This is so unintuitive. Okay? Of course, I think in your experience, you want to be speaking to audiences. It's more like 3, 4 people. But even in that case...
It depends, because, sometimes to the client you have big teams to...
Okay, so really, the number of people should be directly related to your volume. You should have different volumes and change them accordingly. This is something no one does. You just speak at your volume and then expect the other guy at the end of the room to be able to follow you. So unlikely. So, volume is one thing, and the other is the style of your voice. I would like to make a short example. We don't usually, a good public speaking workshop is about practicing with people, but in 4 hours we have no time for practicing. But we'd like to make just one single short practice, and it's about voice. So I need 3 volunteers. And now the fear of public speaking. We are testing both fear of public speaking, come on here. And the third is, we are testing, okay. We are testing both fear of public speaking and the voice. I need you to do something very, very similar. And I'm thinking about having you doing it in English or in Italian. Are you Italian or English? Italian? English? Italian. So you will be doing it in English and you will be doing it in Italian. Because I need you to do it in your most common language, okay? And the text is really, really simple. The penguin is not needed. It's, good morning everyone. My name is, your name. I've been in this company for a number of years and my job is job. Actually, you have to adapt it because you're not in a company, are you? No? So, my name is, I've been studying I've been in this course for 6 years and I'm studying whatever, ok? Quindi in italiano, buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo, il mio nome, sono in questo corso da un numero di anni e studio quello che studio, ok? Just it.
Well, I think that she should do it in Ukrainian because that's the.
Yeah, but then nobody's going to understand me.
Okay, do it in Ukrainian. Yeah, and please, just memorize and then don't look at me because I'm drawing something and you don't. Okay, just turn around and one after the other. Your name is Mariangela. Anastasia? Pietro. Allora, Mariangela. No. Ok, start. Mi chiamo Mariangela. Sono in questo corso là? Ok, go.
Mi chiamo Mariangela, sono in questo
Buongiorno a
corso.
tutti.
Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Mariangela, sono in questo corso da 2 anni e studio economia.
Доброго дня усім. Мене звати Анастасія, я навчаюся за спеціальністю міжнародний бізнес і це моя магістратура перший рік.
Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Pietro, studio da 2 anni economia e sono uno studente.
Ok, go. Un applauso. So, this is exactly what they did in every language. This is cool. No matter the language, when you are in a tense situation, this was a bit more tense than casually speaking. I tell you what you've just said. Think about me presenting. I will use Italian because you need to understand the most common language. Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Cristian Dori, insegno public speaking da 3 anni e sono uno speaker. Ok? Listen how much is different. Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Dori Cristian, insegno public speaking da 4 anni e sono uno speaker. Is it different? What was more effective? Why? I use different. It's called prosody. It's like the melody for the prose. When you are tensing, even in the most basic things, you are doing, I tell you what they did in different languages. They did na 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 na. That was it. Even changing the language, na 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 na, na 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 na. That is what everyone does. If he hasn't trained his voice, he will start going into metrics and because this gives you structure. It's more easier. It's easier. a good voice is a voice that keeps a color, okay? It's so big, this topic. I will just go really quickly over. We don't have the voice here because I had a short video to explain this very well.
You
If
can.
you press it, there you go.
Is it on the web if you want it?
No, but the audio, where is it connected?
Yes, it's connected.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Let's see.
Sorry?
We
No.
have to... Vedi,
No, there is
la rosellina
we
dietro
need-
sul cosa
Dove?
this one.
If it is connected, then
Let's try.
yes, because it's the computer.
Okay, try again.
Miss
French. So very French. I admire your laugh, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
No, you didn't say my name is Bond, James Bond. What is so e lei come si chiama? Il mio nome è Bond, James Bond, sono un investigatore So why it's so normal to hear good voices in movies and it's so unusual to hear them in real life? Because in movies people train the voice. So a speaker does the same thing, trains the voice. And there are many framework of methods and schools depending on the goal. Let's compress everything in a very simple model that you can also study for yourself if you're interested in. And instead of analyzing independently the tone, the volume, the time, and the rhythm, this model called the four voice colors from this guy that unluckily disappeared some years ago. He was a trainer in a double, so he studied voice for all his life. And he created this framework that is very simple. I like it because with few concepts, he's able to comprehend a very wide range of arguments. So he's saying that voice has colors. You don't need to remember every time the volume and the pitch, the poses, because the color says it all. For example, the yellow voice has medium-high volume, a variable tone, fast time, and short pauses, and usually implies also there is a fifth component that is smiles. The yellow voice has some kind of smiling in it. Which kind of voice is this? So quite fast? No, not usually. You have all voice, but when you use this way of speaking, it's a kind of it's an attribute to your voice. For example, when I told you the story of me and my when I decided to start studying public speaking, I had a hell voice. So I will tell you how I decided to start public speaking. At that time, I was a salesman. You see my voice here? My voice has a higher pitch, is quite fast, and is in a rhythm, okay? It's the voice that brings energy. It's the voice that moves and shakes. That is the voice, think about it. You have a very yellow voice. When you see someone that you haven't seen in a long time, how do you approach him? Hey, how are you? What have you been doing the last years? Okay, that's kind of voice. It's the voice that we usually use at the beginning because it brings more energy to the topic itself. Okay. It's the voice you have when you tell a story, or that people in the radio have. You know that annoying voice of the speaker in the radio because it's super yellow, so yellow that for someone is even annoying. Okay, but it's very that way. Okay. I'm not saying that to use this voice. I'm just pointing the three parts of a triangle. So, for example, you can use this voice even during speech, in certain point. If you want to tell something, or if you want to be quick over something. Second kind of voice, volume, medium, low, the tone is low, the time is low, and the poses are excitant. I used this before when speaking about poses. So you remember that, and we will see those better during voice analysis. So, what kind of voice is this? Someone usually tells me, yes, bad news. That's so common. Why do you think more of the bad news than the good ones? If you are in an intimate time with your partner, isn't this exactly the way he's speaking? Or not? No, he's speaking. I hope not. It's the voice of intimacy. And yes, it's also the voice of bad news, because bad news are given in an intimate voice. And then, hey, and I have a really bad news for your health. And it's, no, okay. But it's also the same voice for good news or for positive speaking. It's the voice of closeness. When you want to connect with people, you should lower your voice, lower your tone, and it should appear like everything you are saying, you're struggling to find the right words because you're actually thinking of what you're saying. Like I'm doing that now. And of course, I wasn't thinking about it. But you know what I did? I made one step closer and I start closing the distance. Okay? Green voice. It's a voice of empathy. I hope that this voice your partner uses when it's an intimate time, not the yellow one, and not the blue one. Blue voice, medium high volume, low conclusive pitch and tone, medium time, mid pauses. This is the voice you mostly use in a speech. So these voices are used in every context, even not public speaking, even just conversation. And there is the right voice for the right event. In public speaking, most of the times, you are on a blue voice. Blue voice is the voice of content, of professionality, of even authority sometimes. But anyway, it's not empathic. It's the voice of, think about newspaper journalists. They have a super blue voice. Or the documentary voice, or the voiceover, the mountain lions moves in pack of 5 and 6 7. He predates small reptiles, and okay, that kind of voice. It's super blue. It's the voice that has to build credibility and transmit clear concepts, clear ideas. Okay? In a speech, you mostly keep these, but sometimes you use the other to break the variety and to use it in the appropriate time. For example, when you tell something, you're narrating and not explaining, you can go yellow, and when you speak of a problem, you should go green. Even on a professional conversation. For example, if this is your company and you are facing bankruptcy for this, and if I say you this way, and if you go this way, you will probably find close bankruptcy in a couple of years. I should say it in a different way. This is a very important matter. And if you don't change something, probably in a couple of years, the company will go bankrupt. This is much more appropriate. Okay. Then I must go blue again when I propose a solution. And for this, we have thought of a very good solution that we want to propose you. Think about if I stay green when I propose the solution. And for this, we have thought about this solution that we want to present to you. Does it work? No. This is Apple's voice daltonism. Using the wrong voice, the wrong color for the thing you're saying. Okay. So this is really, we have just opened the Pandora box. Voice is a big thing. Just remember, loud voice, mostly blue, and remember to change and become more low tone and intimate when speaking about problems, empathic times, and and to go more energetic when you tell stories and you make jokes. Okay, variety and volume. Questions here? There are so many you could ask about voice. It's sometimes, many times I had just a workshop on voice alone. You can study voice for how much time you want, and there is things to study. And lastly, perfect in time, yes? Body language. Yeah, 10 minutes for body language, why not? There is not so much to say. So, I divided body language into, again, points, because there is no time to study properly body language. So I just raised some points, and I will speak about those. First, hands. Hands are one of the most, when we look at someone, our brain looks for signals in 3 points mostly, which are eyes, hands. Yes, if you are a fetishist of the feet. I don't want to know, but it's okay. It's okay. There are a lot of tastes, and you know this I will use in next speeches. Okay. Okay. I will say and girls sometimes and feet because you know you have fetishes of the feet sometimes. No, the third is mouth. Mouth, eyes, and hands. And if you are so when you speak to someone close by, these are the parts where he's looking for. And just to know how important it is, some kind of disorder like autism have a consequence of not looking at one of those. For example, autistic people, they don't look at your eyes. Never. They only look at mouth and hands. So they are missing, this is one of the reasons they are not able to cope socially, because they miss one of the main signals. But people without disorder, they look at your eyes, mouth, and hands. And if you're on a stage, hands become more dominant. Why? Because it's not so easy to see eyes and mouth. And hands tell so much about your communication. They enforce your authority, and so your ethos. They make your own style, are part of your style. Let's say that, let's start by the wrong ways of using hands, which are pointing. Pointing is so terrible. Pointing. The finger guns is not good. Then,
Keeping them in your pockets.
pockets. Why this is bad? What kind of message? Arrogance. This, the same, this. So basically, very shortly.
You can also point at the presentation.
Yeah, toward the presentation is good.
It's good.
Toward the people is not good. So basically, when we are communicating, think about an invisible wall between you and the other person. And this is the assertive mode, the people that respect this distance. There are a way of pushing, okay? Pushing against, so invading. And there are a way of retiring and defending. The wrong way are those who go in one of these directions. For example, this is pushing. You call it arrogance, is a way of dominance activity, not necessarily arrogance. In this way, you are communicating dominance. All the way that expand the space you take, because that's how animals dominate. They occupy more space in the, that's so interesting. So, and the way of transmitting instead, defending themselves is covering the body in any way. This is a way of protecting yourself. Even hiding your hands, and then looking down, and this is something your people, usually the tone of voice is low, and this is their way of managing hands, and you see? So which is the good way? The good way is, most of the time your palms should be visible, and they shouldn't go too much in front of your belly. Why?
Because you're not hiding your
Yes.
vulnerable part, and you're not hiding anything.
Yes. So basically, evolutionary psychology is one of the most interesting science about psychology. Explains meaning of behavior based on evolutionary reasons. When we decided quite riskingly to stand up on our feet some hundreds of thousands of years ago, we did it by exposing one of our most delicate part, vulnerable part, the opening. So every time I make it for you difficult to see my belly and to hit it, I'm demonstrating I'm trusting. And I can do it by covering it or by turning it. And one way is defensive and this is aggressive. This is aggressive. So look how different. Look how different it is. If I start keeping the same tone of voice that I've kept until now, I start moving like that. Okay? So I have a hand in my pocket and I'm pointing finger and I am stating things by pushing your hand, this hand up. How do you feel? And I just change only my body language. I didn't change my voice. How do you feel? You feel different? And think if I also change my voice. And if I also change my voice and I start speaking like this, even if you know that I'm pretending to be, the reptilian part of you is starting getting angry and wanting to punch me. Is it right?
Yeah.
It's so. Yes, and it's very close to me, so I have to pay attention. So we are so easily moved by the in-place body language we have. So keep your hand visible, your palm visible, your chest visible to the people. Okay?
Is it also for welcoming kind of the audience? Keeping the...
That's a very short frame in general. I will make you one final example. I will try, in the following example, to keep same voice, same words. Think about, I have a big audience in front of me, and I have to make a request. I have to ask the people on the left to move on the right on the left, the people on the bottom to sit in front, and the people in front to go everywhere, okay? Feel the difference. Okay, hi everyone. Before starting, I have a request to make to you. I would like the people on the left to move on the right, the people on the right to move on the left, the people on the bottom to sit here, and the people here to go wherever they want. Okay? So, okay, before starting, I have a request to make you. I would like the people on the left to go on the right, the people on the right to go on the left, the people at the bottom to sit here, and the people here to go wherever they want. It's different.
I've seen the same experiment in Atlanta.
Yeah, this is very good. And the third is with the finger. Before starting, I have a request to make you. The people, okay, this is already Russian. So the palm is everything. All the power gestures in history have been with the palm down. Okay, if you change this, you will have an immediate effect. Second thing, your balance. I've seen people starting like doing this when I don't know why, because you are able to walk. As soon as you go standing and walking in front of an audience, your sense of balance goes astray, and you start like doing things, or people trying to, I don't know, do something by keeping. Think about fishing. Fishing cable or something with a lead weight on the bottom. Okay, how vertically, and think you have suspended it from the top of your head. Okay, remember that your spine has to be always vertical, and when you move, that's your ankle bone. Okay, don't cross your feet. Don't just be more straight than you are normally, because again, this should be amplified on the stage. You should be more balanced than normal. Okay. We go quickly over those because we don't have really much time left. So stage. Stage is the space you have. How do you use the space? The space, often you don't have a stage, but you have a place where you speak. For example, here I had a stage. It was from here to here. Okay? And I use it, if you could look back, I use it very differently. So when I was narrating, I was walking. When I was communicating something important, I was standing. And then I came close when I wanted to speak of something that implied closure and empathy. And then I walked away. Use your space. So even one step in front, in the right time, can make a big deal towards conveying the concept. For example, and if we do this, okay, that step is a lot of, communicates a lot. This is called, we don't have time. This is called congruence. Basically, your body, your voice, and your words are all on the same line, are all conveying the concept. And so, for example, if you have 3 points, structure with bullet points. We will speak of 3 things. 1 minute. First, we'll speak about this. I will say this, this. Second, the second thing is this one, and the third is this one. Okay? Using different position for first, second, and third will help you, your audience, understand where are you. Okay, use the space around you as meaningful. Okay. Last ticks. You will have more ticks than you think, because you will be more stressed. And if you don't believe, ask the 3 people that just came here just to present with a very, very simple script. It was different than speaking normally. So you will develop tics, verbal tics, body tics, and you won't notice it. The only way is looking you, recording you, and having someone tell to you. You could develop tics of, like a rail, or you will have tics, and you will not be able to see those for yourself. Your body won't register them. Like, okay, how can someone speak like this for 20 minutes and not being aware? So the best way of dealing with them is recording your speech, because they will do the same throughout your speeches. So if you know what they are, sometimes they are verbal tics, like something you say continuously just to keep flowing, or body tics, or even position tics, like someone that has goes back. Sometimes you see him, like he walks back because he wants to escape, and he speaks all the time from here, okay? Or standing next to the, like dogs, not when they leave, yeah. So you have some kind of behavior that you won't notice that will take away from the effectiveness of your speech. And the only way of seeing them is recording or working in pairs and correct each other and notice on each other. Okay, so when I was teaching and training the students for the TEDx, we had a full half day on delivery, and they were completely all over the place. They had so many things to remember. So I built a easy resume only of the delivery habits, and I brought that to you as well. So if you don't remember everything we have said, voice and everything, that will advance the techniques. If you want just to remember 5, I built on the 5 finger of your hands, because I hope you will, at least in the other end. You have this one. So first, smile. Second, slow. Third, chat. Fourth, engage. And fifth, go on. This means smile. Remember to humor, smile, joke. So, second, slow down. You're going too fast. You're not making poses. Third is chat. Be natural. Be yourself. Be as you were talking to one guy. This is one of, if you feel a bit stressed, remember that compress everyone in just one guy and chat with him. Just move your one guy everywhere in the place, but there's only one guy in front of you. Fourth, engage that guy. And fifth, go on, don't stop. People, the audience doesn't know if you make a mistake. Just go on. Just go on, it will be as good as if you didn't make a mistake. So, we have completed for our public speaking, or better, of rhetoric. And now, you already know that the conclusion is starting. And in this conclusion, I will remember the framework that we have seen. And I'm leaving to you, there are ethos, pathos, and logos, and the 5 canons of rhetoric. So, now what? Now, you can, and you know, a call to action is coming. You see how interesting it is? Because the conclusion you haven't seen yet. And the call to action is exactly what is needed if you want to go on in rhetoric study. And it is made of 3 things. The first is study. You have 3 hours and full of notes. You can dig as deep in these notes as you want. We have put everything in these 4 hours. The second, practice. But as every art in the most ancient meaning, that of craft, there is a third component if you want to become a good speaker, that is imitation. Analyze speeches, watch them, but watch them through the lenses of ethos, pathos, and logos, and through the rhetoric canons. Every speech, comedians, politicians, every speech will become different if you study it, and if you start learning from all of those, and build your persona from all the speeches that come through your mind. Imitation is such an important part of public speaking. You cannot just reinvent public speaking. There are plenty of speeches out there, and this way, I don't know if you will be taken away of all your power and talents about the art of speaking, but I know that if you study it and practice it, you will get many more results in all the years to come, and you have a lot to learn. Thank you. So, we made quite late. If you have some questions, I can quickly answer that, or you can make me ask me out of the lesson.
Can I ask you if I can have a picture of you together with Christian? Is it a problem for you? Because I would like to send it to Christian.